how has COVID changed the focus of plastics in particular and the push for more environmentally friendly offerings?
Well, a circular economy just isn't going to happen. We have to create a circular economy. And so the economy that we have today, unfortunately, whether you're using plastics or you're using glass or other materials, you use it and you throw it away, and not enough of it gets recycled. And even for the products that people think they're recycling, not enough of that gets recycled. So we made a commitment and we said, if we can take 1 million metric tons a year of plastics back into the circular economy, and we put that out there because if everybody stepped up and did that, we would create a huge demand for post-consumer recycled material. Now we got to work on the economic business model to make that work. And one of the things that we get into is a lot of times people just say, well, we'll just tax the carbon on the plastics. The problem with the taxes is they don't go towards solving the problem. The taxes just go into the general coffers and they don't get spent to create the circular economy. You need something like an enhanced producer responsibility scheme that creates that circular economy and closes that loop and brings that plastic back in so that we can reuse it. And the second thing we're doing is making sure that everything we make has the potential to be fully recyclable or reusable. And that is something that immediately brand owners can take advantage of and take out to the public, because that is something that the public wants as well.
Public wants it. You've put out an ambitious goal to be carbon neutral by 2050. Just how hard is that? Not just from working with brands, making things recyclable, reusable, but also your entire supply chain. Are you working with the oil companies that you so depend upon to ensure that you can put in place a supply chain that is entirely carbon neutral as well? How hard is it?
It's tough because you also need to grow your business to keep up with demand. So you want to become carbon neutral and still grow your business to keep up with population growth, middle class growth, and demand growth. In our business, our CO2 footprint largely comes from combustion of natural gas to drive furnaces that make the products that make plastics. It isn't the plastics themselves, but it's the process to make them that creates it. And so we're using the most efficient technology today to do that. But if we want to get carbon neutral by 2050, we've got to look at other things. So we've got process technology activity and research going on to try to reduce the CO2 emissions of that process by as much as 20 to 40%. We've got technology we're looking at together with Shell on electric cracking and whether that makes sense. And if we can do that, we're going to pilot that in Europe. If that works, we might be able to electrify some of those crackers. Now, if you do that, the electricity needs to come from a process that doesn't combust gas, because at the end of the day, that electricity is going to be less efficient than direct firing with gas. So we're looking at all of that. We have good experience on being able, through normal efficiency and use of existing technology, from 2006 to last year, we reduced our footprint by 15%. So by 2030, we're going to try to reduce our footprint by another 15%. I think we've got a good line on how to do that. To 2050, to get to carbon neutral, we're going to have to take some bigger steps, some of our own process technology innovations, maybe electric cracking. Certainly, we have to look at carbon capture. Carbon capture, I think, is going to have to be part of the answer, because one of the most efficient ways to get energy today is to combust natural gas. And if you don't combust natural gas, and if you don't have nuclear as an option, if you need dispatchable power, you're going to be forced to look at something like coal, which is moving the wrong direction. The other thing we're doing is alternative energy. And so we've got a layer now of alternative energy. It's getting close to our target for 2025 with 750 megawatts. We're more than 2/3 of the way there, and we'll probably beat that target. But alternative energy can't replace all of the energy that we use. This layer of alternative energy that's coming in on wind and solar is cheap.
Yeah.
But if I were to try to replace everything that we use as a company it doesn't have the reliability. These power sources can drop out of the grid for hours or days, and I run 24/7 continuous operations that can't drop out for a millisecond. So you have to have a different kind of reliability. So I can do some with alternative energy, but then we've got to come up with some bigger solutions. Supply chain is part of it. We have just as much of a footprint on the supply chain, if not more, than we do from our direct manufacturing. So we'll look at all the scopes. And we also have to remember that our products offer benefits to society. We make insulation materials that make energy efficient buildings. Buildings consume 40 to 50% of the energy in the world. So if we can make them more energy efficient, we're doing a service to society, and we're helping bring down the overall CO2 footprint. So we have to take that into account as well.